Adopting a pet is absolutely nothing like adopting a child. That being said, I did want to introduce you to the newest member of my family that I did adopt, and this is Buddy. Say hi, Buddy. Hi. You're going to talk to me instead. Okay. So, here we go. Here's my review of Instant Family. Instant Family is basically at its core a movie about adoption. Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne play a married couple who just, their life is great. They flip houses for a living, they have their own business, and they're doing really well. And just all of a sudden one day they get the idea of, you know what, having a family might be a good thing. And Rose Byrne begins to go through just an adoption website and just finding out just about fostering kids and stuff like that. And Mark is like, no, absolutely not. But then when she's not looking, he goes through the website and is totally sold. So then they go through the classes, they finally become foster parents, or at least in the system. And then that's when your story begins. They both do a very convincing and endearing job. I mean, you get to see just the run of emotions that they have as parents, as potential parents, as just foster parents. You know, all of the ups and the downs. It's not always great and it's not always bad, and it's a lot of the time in between, and it changes from moment to moment. Just like being a birth parent, the foster parents go through this exact same thing, and you really get to see that with Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne. Tig Notaro and Octavia Spencer play the two foster agents, and they lead the class and they lead the support groups, and they work through all of the issues with these potential parents. And I love them together. They do such a great job, and they play off each other with such perfect timing. One is not always the straight man in this. They both bring comedy, they both bring truth, they both bring just this wit and this just heartbreaking sensibility to what they're talking about. And you just get to see them as they alternate back and forth, and as they work together. They are so great on screen. The teenager in the story that is one of the three adopted kids, or at least foster kids, that Mark and Rose bring into their house is Lizzie, and that's Isabella Moner. And she is playing the new Dora the Explorer movie. She's playing Dora, but aside from that, whether you think that's a great idea or not, she does a really, really good job of playing a teenager who has been bounced from foster home to foster home. And you get to see the heartbreak and the hope that she has, and then the dashed hopes and everything that goes along with that. That, you know, she has a tough exterior. I think that's really probably the best way to say it, that she has just really grown this really tough exterior to deal with her circumstances. But on the inside, she's a marshmallow, and she needs to be a marshmallow because she's a 15-year-old kid. I love that the story is sincere and convincing without being preachy or sugar-coated. That it doesn't do either of those. It presents some facts, but it also does it in such an approachable way that everybody can get something out of it, and everybody can feel a connection to what the story is saying and how the characters are bringing these to life. We are taken on a journey throughout this, and it is not always sunshine and rainbows. We get to see the ugly and the beautiful all at once. Instant Family is way more emotional than I thought it was going to be. It is not just some light-hearted comedy. Now, sure, there is humor, but it's got a lot of heart to it, and sometimes that heart gets broken. Now, the film did feel a little longer than it actually was, and I think that's because they kept in some scenes that probably could have been trimmed or cut altogether, because they really, at the end of it, weren't adding anything to the story, even though at times they brought some really good laughs. There was a character in there that she's great at the beginning, but then they kept following her, and she wasn't the main thing, and she just became kind of the punchline, even though maybe what they were trying to do is say that, oh, well, this person is a representative of this demographic, and so they're okay, you know, you can adopt also. If that's what it was, then that's fine, but it didn't come across that way. It's a white single mom who is looking for a specific type of child, and they all laugh because it's like, hey, you know what, if you're looking for this one type of cherry picking your kid, you're going to be here forever and you're never going to find it. There are just a ton of kids out here that need to be adopted, that need to be brought into a home and cared for, whether or not you're actually going to adopt them, just as a foster situation. And so she becomes kind of a punchline, because throughout it, all of these other families are getting foster kids, and she's like, nah, I still don't have one. That storyline could have been trimmed down way, way more than it was, and it would have been just the same film. I know a lot of families that have either adopted or fost-adopted or even just fostered kids. And I also know a lot of kids that have been adopted. And so I'm really curious as to their take on how this is and how it portrays the system. Because we hear a lot of just terrible things about the foster system, and that you have a lot of people that are doing it for all of the wrong reasons. And I know though that there are a lot of people out there who are pure-hearted and that they are doing it for great reasons. So I'm curious at how some people that have gone through the system and how they've done this, just how it rings true for them, if it rings true. And then, you know, how does it line up with your experience? If you're looking for a lighthearted comedy, Instant Family is probably not going to be for you. But if you want a movie that has a lot of heart to it and a good message, but also a ton of humor, then I suggest you check it out. There's no sex or nudity, there is some profanity and a little bit of violence, especially with a nail gun that, oh, ouch. Anyway, I give Instant Family 4.5 out of 5 couches. What's your favorite family comedy? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.